Welcome to RVRB Round Table, a weekly show that brings the brightest creative minds and digital producers in sports, entertainment, politics, news, and more to share their stories and strategies that will help you become a better leader and creator. Now let's meet your host, Clark Campbell, and his co-host, William Vest.
All right, so we're starting a podcast. It's called the RVRB Round Table. The fact that people are listening to this right now means that they have arrived. But before we hop into that, let's talk about ourselves. Who are you, Clark? Give ourselves a little introduction of who you are and what you do.
I think the most important thing I could possibly say about myself is that I want to help you. That's kind of who I am. That's actually what most of our team is made up of. We are made up of people who want to help you become a better leader, become a better creator. That's who we are. So I run a company called RVRB. William is our director of production. We have a team of about 10 people with a bunch of subcontractors, and we help events look great online. And we do that through using really cool cameras and lenses and sometimes an iPhone. Yes, this is an old iPhone 11. I'm sorry, I haven't caught up yet to Will and his iPhone 12.
Get on the 12 life.
Get on the 12 life. I'm going to, whenever you let me buy something. But anyways, we take things like this and we make events look really, really great in real time. We create incredible video at blazing speeds. I don't even know how we do it. Our editors pull their hair out whenever we're editing at an event. But we go into events, whether it's a leadership event, a sporting event, news, weather. We haven't done any weather yet. Actually, the whole company started because of a weather event.
Because of a weather event, because of a tornado.
Because of a weather event, yeah. Way back in 2011. So we can tell that story one day. But we go into these intense environments, and we make your event look great because a lot of times events look like amateur hour if they're just shot from an iPhone and they're just using the internal features that an app like Instagram has. We actually think you can make your event look great. It doesn't have to look like an amateur hour. And so we want to help you make your event look great online. So that's what RVRB does. What did I miss, Will?
All right, awesome.
And tell them about yourself.
You summed it up. That pretty much covered it. And I'm William, and I basically kind of help lead up the production front of what we do. We make a lot of content. We make a lot of stuff, and it takes an army truly to actually see that to fruition from when it's shot to when it's delivered to a client's social or website or wherever they're actually using it. And no, you perfectly kind of covered up us as an organization. But Clark, tell us a little bit about why we're actually launching this podcast. Like, what we do that for our clients. Why are we doing this? Why are we talking today?
Yeah, because really, like I said, we know that you want to look great online. You're investing a ton of money, a ton of energy into your events, whether it's a virtual event because of the pandemic or it's an in-person event as we start to get back into the in-person events, the hybrid events later in 2021. We know you want it to look great. The problem is creating these high-quality, high-speed pieces of content is really an uphill battle for most brands out there. Usually you're pulling a videographer or a videographer from a department that's used to sitting at a desk or not really being on the event trail, and you're needing them to turn around content in blazing speeds or edit graphics or create shareables from that amazing keynote speaker that you just had or that amazing moment that just played on national TV during a sporting event. Sometimes you're like, wow, how did they get that content onto social media so fast? It's hard. It's challenging. It's an uphill battle. We get it. We at RVRB understand because we are climbing. We are helping organizations like the Southeastern Conference and NCR and StoryBrand get that content onto the internet that looks great in real time. So we wanted to say, hey, we're not the only ones that do this. There are some really, really great leaders around the globe in the event industry that are becoming master communicators in real time. And we want to bring them around a table, a virtual table for now, and discuss what are your strategies? What's winning like for you? What is working and what's not working? And so William and I were like, hey, Tessa, what do you think about us all creating this roundtable thing and inviting our friends to talk about what works? And so that's the problem we're addressing. How do we get this amazing content at blazing speeds onto the internet? It's hard, and we want to help you become better at doing it.
And I think something that's super interesting about that we've really learned over the past couple of years is that the barrier to entry when it comes to events is getting lower and lower. It's not just the people that are going to stadiums that are putting on events now, and it's not just, the news that you see on your TV either. We're talking everyday organizations, no matter what size city you're in, no matter what size organization you're in. Everyone's having to put on events in some shape, form, or fashion or another, ultimately for the point of driving revenue towards a product or some sort of service that they're doing. And obviously, when it comes to these events, the marketing around them is so important. And all of that comes down to the communication around your event, what you're saying, how you're saying it, and how you're doing it at the end of the day. And so I think something that we really created this organization and this service around this problem, around really high scale events. In the process of trying to solve that problem for a lot of our friends that we're going to be talking to on this project, we also learned that a lot of people are having this problem at much mid-tier and lower levels as well. It's not just the big people that are running into these same issues.
I think what you'll learn is, like you mentioned, there's events going on all the time, everywhere. Thousands of events are happening in every city every day, even if they're virtual. Whether they're in person or virtual, thousands of events are happening in cities, and everybody wants to tell a great story. And you don't have to be working for Fox or NBC or ESPN or some major brand to do a great job. There are some key elements that we're going to unpack in this podcast, from messaging to how do you tell a story using Instagram stories when you don't have a couple $1,000 camera? Like, how do you do that with just the small resources, limited resources that you have? Because you can actually do it. You can actually use some of the same strategies that some of these big brands that they use to do it on your own with your own devices. So this podcast isn't just for the big names and the big brands. This is really to help anybody that is trying to make their event look great online. Do it, and do it well, and take out the guesswork, because like you said, Will, events are happening all around us. So that's what I want to do. I want to help people make their event look great online, no matter how big, medium, or small their event is.
I love it. We're going to be talking to a bunch of industry professionals. We're going to be talking to people from really big brands that are really recognizable. And like Clark said, ultimately the purpose of that is for you as an end user, regardless of what organization you're at, regardless of whether you're at a small local non-for-profit or partaking in a really huge event happening at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, anywhere in between, you can take this knowledge from these industry professionals and hopefully institute it into your own event that you're helping run.
I have a question for you. What
Hit me.
topics are you most excited about covering and interviewing? What kind of things do you want to talk about on this podcast that will help people?
So there's two main areas that I get into conversations around events every single day, and I know that you get into conversations that are very similar. Number one revolves around a lot of these technicals, and those technicals scale up and down based off the size of the event. So it's everything from like, how do I put on a basic live stream in my office, to how do we multicam this huge event and live stream it as well. So like, the technical things just scale up and down, and there's so much to talk about and so much converse around that. But likewise, in a totally different vein, but is equally, if not more important, of the how, is the why, and then the communication around it as well. And we get into conversations about that all the time, about how are you marketing your event? How are you talking about it? How are you specifically driving people to a call to action? All these really important messaging things around your events that people like me and people that I talk to, it just goes over their head. They don't even think about it, when the reality is that's the thing that drives ticket sales. That's the thing that gets people to show up, which is ultimately the reason you're putting on the event to begin with. Those are my two favorite things. Those are my two things that I'm ready to talk about. What are you ready to talk about?
Well, I mean, you kind of covered one of them, but I approach this conversation often describing a journalistic mindset. Someone who is a journalist, a really great journalist, knows that there's a combination of forces that help you tell stories really, really well, really clearly, with limited time, under high intensity and high pressure. Journalists, especially TV journalists and radio and newspaper journalists, they are having to tell stories that are crystal clear with excellence in blazing speed because of the demands of the market, because of the demands of the news cycle. I approach event content, event media in the same kind of headspace. You have to know, going into an event, the combination of the right words, the right look, the right length, the right feelings, the right emotions to really capture the attention of your audience. And I love to invite people onto the podcast that are journalists or work for major news organizations or sports news and information, because they are having to intake what's happening around them, create something that makes sense, and deliver it in a timely manner so that the audience will stay engaged and involved. And that is a formula that few people can articulate. And I love diving into the psychology of those conversations. So while Will brings a lot of the technical and even the wordsmithing that he just talked about, I like to get into like what actually moves people, what attracts them to staying engaged at an event. Not only the people that are at the event, that are attending your event, but what about the people who are at home that are like, man, I wish I had gone to that game tonight. At my high school, that basketball game, I wish I had been there. That looks exciting and fun. Or I wish I had listened to that leadership event that I missed because there were some great quotes. Those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about, and I cannot wait to have some incredible conversations with leaders from just around the world. This is going to be an exciting podcast season. Okay, so I know if you're listening right now, you've already found the RVRB Round Table podcast on your favorite platform. But Will, tell us other ways they can join in, they can watch, they can participate in the conversation, and something special we have for everybody as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you can listen pretty much anywhere you go for podcasts, but we're also trying to record these episodes with video and put them online as well so you can actually participate in the conversation and watch while you're listening. But one of the things that we really wanted to do is take show notes of each episode and kind of give them away to you so that if you are listening while driving or something, you don't have to like try to text and drive and take down notes.
Please
you shouldn't
don't.
be doing that.
No.
We kind of created a place where we're keeping all of these notes, and you can actually get them for free in your inbox every single episode by just going to rvrb.cc/subscribe. So it's rvrb.cc/subscribe. And that will get you the weekly show notes delivered in your email every single week so you can listen and then kind of recap with yourself with the show notes in your email.
Amazing. Season 1, RVRB Round Table. Let's freaking go.